To begin making a Cypher System character, you'll need some information from your GM. Cypher System provides a campaign design worksheet that your GM can use, but it doesn't necessarily have to be provided in this way. How I usually start off my character sheet is by giving him a name. Then I give him a descriptor. The descriptor is what would best describe your character. In this case, I'm going to use learned. So Tom Banks is a learned, and we have different types to choose from. In this case, we have flavors such as stealth and combat, tech, knowledge, and knowledge and skills. Of course, you're more than welcome to use just the type, which would be speaker aspect. In this case, I'm going to use speaker for Tom, and how you decide your foci is what does your character think about when he's not actively engaged in an ability. Does he look at entertainment, or does he fuse his mind and machine? In my case, I think I'm going to use works miracles. So Tom Banks is a learned speaker who works miracles. I haven't added a flavor yet, but I will go over it later in the video. Now, in order to fill in the data on the sheet, I start off by going to the type, and I bring the data in from there. In this case, it's speaker. We can see that a first tier speaker has a might pool of 8, a speed pool of 9, and an intellect pool of 11. So we will transfer that into our sheet. 8, 9, and 11. Then we get 6 points to put wherever we want. How I do it is I add 2 to each one. So later on, if I decide to move my points, I know that each category has 2 additional points that I can move. If I need to move 2 points from speed into intellect or over to might, I can. Now, the first tier speaker gets an effort of 1. And it looks like the GM is letting us know that we have a tier 1 operative. So that would be a tier 1 character. It also lets us know that it's 22nd century and that it's not mythological. So we add tier 1 and no XP. Our speaker can have 2 ciphers at one time, so I put that in the spot. Our speaker is practiced with the light weapons, but medium weapons he takes an inability to, or heavy weapons it's 2 steps harder to use. Now if you're practiced, you put a check mark in any of them. In medium weapons we have an inability which gives us 1 step harder, and heavy weapon I'm going to put an inability and I'm going to add +1 effort, meaning that it's technically 2 steps harder to use a heavy weapon. Starting equipment. We have clothing, a light weapon of your choice, plus 2 expensive items, 2 moderate, and up to 4 inexpensives. So I'm going to carry that over to my equipment spot. We have special abilities we could use, and I'm using the abilities from the speaker, not from the flavor right now. If I decide to swap some out, I can later. This is what you're going to get when you achieve 2nd tier speaker. You get abilities in this area. Now we'll move over to our descriptor, which is learned, and it says that we have +2 to your intellect pool, which increases it to 15. You are trained in 3 areas of knowledge of your choice. Because it's knowledge, it'll be in the intellect area, and I'll place all 3 in one line. So I'm going to add medical, biology. It looks like I may have a doctor on my hands or something like that. Field medic, maybe. For my 3rd skill, I think I'll take as initiative. This lowers the difficulty by 1 because I'm trained in them. Now, inability, you have charm, persuasion, or etiquette is increased by 1 step. So I'll put an inability here, and I'm just going to copy those 3 items over into that spot. Additional equipment, you have 2 additional books on topics of your choice. Book generally gives you an asset on any task. Means it looks like Tom's going to be a doctor. He would carry some books on him on maybe medicine. It could be healing maybe. And something for geography or something like that. I may change this later. Now, in this area, you can select how your character got acquainted with the party. So you can roll a 1d4 and choose randomly, or I'm going to pick number 2, that you need money to fund your studies. So I'll add that over here to the background area. So that's why I joined the group. Now we'll pick up our foci, which is works miracles, and how you think on it is what does your character prioritize? What's he think about a lot? Stuff like that. So this foci gives us a connection. So we'll take one of these, and again you can roll 1d4 or you can pick it out. And I think I might pick number 2. Let me look. I'm going to pick 2. And I add that to my notes. So when the game starts, your character now knows why he, an association into the game, and I can use it randomly once when I find other players, or I can just let the GM pick one. It don't matter. Now for your minor effects and major effects, I add that to the notes also. Now tier 1 is healing touch, and it costs 1 intellect point, so I'll put that into my skills. Now let's take a look at flavors, and I'll explain what it is. A flavor allows you to swap your abilities that your speaker gave you out for something in the tech category or the knowledge, skills and knowledge category. So you don't get additional skills, you can simply swap them. So for example, I can swap this encouragement out for a technology skill or a knowledge skill. So here are the options. You get a data jack, with a hacker, so machine interface, scramble machines, a tech skill. So you get 2 skills from this category if you choose tech skills. I'm just going through these real quick. I like vehicle driving in this, but I don't think I want to change anything right now. But if you see something here you like better, you can swap them out for something you already have. Now, Tinkerer sounds interesting. And of course you can advance in this technology also, just like you do your normal technologies. So now we're over in skills and knowledge, and we'll look around here. And of course you can work with your GM to get your skills balanced out with the game. Investigative skills. Lockpicking, that would be really good for a stealthy character. Tinkering with devices, maybe a hacker or something like that. And of course you have different tiers on the skills category also. For now, I think I'm going to keep mine the same. The main gist of Cypher System is to have not so much of a damaging, just constant warlike, but usually more exploring. And so I'm adding my background from the speakers category. You can roll a 1d20 and pick one of these, or you can just pick one at random. And I'm picking, looks like I'm going to pick 16. So I'm going to take that and put that into my background. We now have a lot of our sheet filled out. Looking at our skills, I kind of like the way they're set up. It's 10, 11, and 15. And I'll probably be using more of the 15, the intellect edge. So the other ones will have 0. And because the way this is set up, I think I'm going to keep it. Now I can move points from any pool into another pool, up to 2 of them. So I can move a total of 4 points if I wanted to. I can move 2 from might, 2 from speed, and put them all into intellect, or any which way I want. But I think I'm going to keep it the way it is. We have a tier 1 character, no XP. For ciphers, the GM would generally roll you up some ciphers or assign you some. We need to work on our equipment. Let's grab, as a medic, let's grab a first aid kit. Do we have a first aid kit or med kit? There it is, first aid kit. That is a moderately priced item, so we'll add that. We get 4 inexpensives, 2 moderates, and 2 expensives. So let's grab leather jacket. That'll give us 1 in the armor. Now let's look at some inexpensive. I think I want a light blaster. And so we'll take that for the expensive, and inexpensive we'll take 2 energy packs. We'll also grab a survival ration and a simple knife. Now we're going to grab a light blaster, but that's not going to actually use up an expensive slot. That's because we get assigned 1 free weapon. So that'll be our 1 free weapon. It's a damage of 2 with a modifier of 1. 1 because it's a light weapon, and 2 damage. All light weapons do 2 damage. So we got a cell phone and night vision goggles, and that ought to round off our expensive items. We need to get our ciphers from the GM, and everything here should be pretty much flushed out for the GM's approval. So this is how you fill out a Cypher System character sheet.